All right. I think we're live. Hit the like button for the channel. Hit the subscribe button because I go live every weekday bringing you news commentary on the news. And hit the notification bell because you never know when I go live. Be early in the morning, late at night, sleep deprived, too much sleep. That's not really the case often, but either way, hit the notification bell so you can join me up in the chat. Got a lot of people from across the globe, unless you're a flat earther, from across the page joining the channel. And thank you. Thank you if you're just hitting subscribe, trying to crack 1,300 subs, a couple, three more away. So if you could hit subscribe, it would mean the world to me. But we got people from New Zealand, the Arctic Circle. I forget how they put it. So like the North Pole, Brazil, South Africa. Where else? All over the place. So it's good to have people not just from America joining up, especially not from America, because we're inundated with a certain narrative here. I like hearing outside views and different perspectives from around the world. So if you are from somewhere outside the US, even if you're from just a different part of the US, it's always interesting to see how the narrative is pitched in different regions. And the narrative is pitched differently in different regions of America. Coup the freestyler. There. Oh, that was the other place. Egypt. Not only South Africa, but Egypt. So we got a lot of people, a lot of subs from all around the world joining. My man Coup the freestyler is here. He's from Egypt. And that's why I was saying it's cool to have a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different worldviews, a lot of different insights joining and subbing to the channel. So if you could please hit the sub button. Holy crap. Ready? Keep an eye out for this car. It's a purple. What is that? A Dodge? Look at this thing. Purple car. I respect that game. I respect the purple car game. Prince would have loved that car. All right, cool. Are you planning on making the Discord? Oh my God. I'm so sorry, man. My brother, it was in town. And I've never even met my niece before. This is the first time getting to meet my niece and like the third time getting to see my other niece. So I have just been extremely busy. We will connect with the Discord. My apologies. We have to build that Discord. You are right, Koo. So we got to connect on that. All right, I want to talk about this because if you saw the title, it says, let's lock them landlords. Or no, not lock the landlords up. That's what I should have changed the title to. It said, send them landlords to prison. Why? Well, in the news today, if you're outside of America and maybe rent isn't hitting you as hard as it is here for Americans, it's just rent has become unaffordable. And this story is absolutely fantastic. I've been calling for this forever. If you're unaware, there's this thing called price fixing. And here in America, if you're unaware, monopolies are supposed to be illegal. It's supposed to be an illegal. Everybody brags about America has a free market. We don't, by the way. It's the most wealthy companies consolidate their power, buy each other out, and then it's like one company that poses as 100 different companies, and they're all selling you the same crap. So here in America, we've seen investment firms, these huge corporations get into the rental market. And basically they buy them all up, and maybe there's like 2 or 3 different companies that are buying up all the homes. Like in this story, there are 10 landlord companies that are being federally charged, hopefully criminally too there. How much is rent over here? Well, let me put it like this. Let me get to the story and I'll tell you how much rent has gone up, because it depends where you are. But here in Massachusetts, I think the average like 2 to 3 bedroom is over $3,000. And it used to not be like that. When my brother was in town, we were driving by this tiny little house, a 3-bedroom house, right? And he was like, how much, that thing's for sale. I had the for sale sign. He was like, what do you think it is? Like 500,000? And I was like, bro, you're kidding, right? So we look it up. And the thing is on these apps, you can see what the house sold for before. So in 2018, this house, which was good size, not a mansion, not small, it was like a great little 3-bedroom house. This house had sold in 2018 for $299,000. We are in 2024. and the house is selling for $808,000. The house has not been newly renovated. It has not been built on. It just doubled and a half in price in 6 years. It's an artificially inflated market. It's unsustainable. Almost $1 million when the house just 6 years ago sold for $300,000. So rent is fucked over here. But in this case, the feds raided a company out of Atlanta, Georgia, called Cortland. And this is like the place we rent. They're not even in Massachusetts. They're a company out of Texas. So it's these huge investment firms that buy all these homes. That's what this Cortland is, the name of the company. They're based in Atlanta, but they've been buying up tons and tons of homes and apartments in Arizona because the case is based in Arizona. So Cortland, this company that is a management company, is now the 10th company to be indicted or charged or under investigation for creating a monopoly and a price-fixing scheme on rent. I had to make some notes. So here, Koo, check this out. Since 2022, for the past 2 years, since just 2 years ago, Cortland and these 10 other companies, which own over 100,000 apartments, townhomes, duplexes, houses in the Arizona metro area. In fact, the link in the description has the article, and it shows the map. If you're in Arizona, look at this map because you might be part of this case. And this is really important that we fight this and we prosecute these bastards to the very end. Send them all to prison, everyone. And I'll get into how they did the price fixing. But these 10 companies own over 100,000. They said it's hundreds of thousands of people that are affected. And what they did is they bought up all these, 100,000 properties, which, if you can imagine, in one city, you're owning everything at that point. And what these companies did is they used a software called Real Pages. This is also the co-defendant in this federal case. Real Pages is a software, and here's how they're using AI, just in case you want to know if these corporations or these healthcare institutes or how society is going to use artificial intelligence and algorithms and all that stuff. They're not going to use it to our benefit. What they're using Real Pages, the rent-based software, for is to figure out the maximum amount they can raise rent in an area, like legally, because some areas you can't just double rent. You have to legally do it a certain amount over a certain amount of time. So this Real Pages software figured that out, and then they kept doing that. But they did it across the board at all 100,000 plus of their properties. So if you couldn't afford rent and you were in this one house, you want to move across town, it did not matter because they owned so much that they were raising the rent together. They basically created a monopoly by owning most of the market. You had no other options, no competition, no free market. And because they own so much, and when they raised the rents together, which is price fixing a price and setting it together, doing it in tandem. So essentially, nobody else can charge anything else. You're stuck at that high rate. Nobody's going to charge lower, because if you just own one property and you see all the rents now have gone from 2,000 to 3,000, you go, oh, well, that's what the market's at, I guess. But it really is artificial. Again, they just used the software to figure out legally how high they could raise it, and they did it across the board. So even if you lived in an apartment building and you've been there for 10 years and everyone at the place gets a notice saying your rent goes from 2,000 to 3,000, what are you going to do? Oh, well, we'll go across town to those apartments that look like they're owned by a different place, different branding and all that. No, their rent just went up from 2,000 to 3,000, and it's made an unaffordable crisis for renters. This is the same thing going on essentially in the housing market, for sale housing market, because so many corporations are buying homes and not doing much to them, but holding and selling. And they can buy them in cash so they can buy anybody else out. So anyways, let's focus on the rental market. So Real Pages is the codependent AI. I was driving pickup trucks when I was 5. Oh yeah, I was driving pickup trucks in the womb because my mom was driving and I was just kicking the wheel from her tummy. I don't know what we're talking about there, but but I just read the last comment. I'm very sorry for that random add-on. Okay. So if you're just joining, please hit subscribe. I'm like 3 people away from hitting 1,300. I really would love to crack that, and I need your help. Plus, we got people from around the world. Egypt in the house, South Africa, New Zealand yesterday. My Sky New Zealand, funny-ass dude in the comments. But we're talking about how these landlords, these corporate landlords, so these are just management investment companies who are basically a bunch of stockbrokers and capital ventures, people who just gain a bunch of money and then say, let's buy all these apartments. We have this software. We could jack up the rent. We can make a ton of money. We can make a killing on it. And it doesn't matter that it's making people homeless. Now, there are 10 companies federally charged. The FBI raided the Cortland company's offices in Atlanta, Georgia yesterday. And I say send them all to prison. From the fucking mail dude to the top CEO. Send them all. Because if you're getting a job there, you know what you're getting into. And I have absolutely zero sympathy for the people who have turned housing. Remember, these are mothers, kids, single dads, people down on their luck. There are people that are old folks that are just trying to finish out their golden years. And these people have turned these homes that they've lived in, probably some of them for most of their lives. Some of them probably lived in these apartments, developed communities within these regions, and they shattered that. For everyone who wants to think like, oh, where we live should be a community, you should be able to raise your kids. These investment companies say, fuck you to you. That's what they're saying. They're saying, no, every house, every apartment, every community is just about us making more money so we can buy a yacht, so we can go on a vacation, so we can not pay our taxes to reinvest into that community, so we can spend our money in a different country or hide it in the fucking Bahamas or wherever, Panama Papers. So remember that. That's what this news story, when I read this, that's what Cortland in Atlanta, Georgia, the management company, and the 9 other companies, the investment companies that are buying these homes, that's all I see when I'm reading it. They're going, fuck you, you don't deserve a community. Fuck you, you shouldn't be able to raise your kids there unless your income has increased 30% over 2 years. And that's what they did. 30%. The rent went up 30% from 2022 to today. 30% across the board. They own over 100,000 properties. And they just decided to raise the rent 30%. Not many people that I know, and if you've ever worked in the corporate world, they usually go a 2 to 3% raise. If you get a 5% raise a year, which is bullshit, they've just set that up because they know how small and dinky that is. A raise should be 10, 20%. I say raises should be 30%, just like they raise the fucking rent. But so remember, if you're not making 30% more, all of a sudden your rent is completely unaffordable. And because these management companies that have become landlords, these investment companies like Cortland, calling Cortland out, fuck them. I'm gonna leave them a bad Google review. Maybe I won't, I probably won't. But you know what I mean. Like, I despise them. And I want to find out who the CEO is and put them on blast. Rob, wait. Oh, sorry, I'm just seeing this now. I popped a wheel coming out of my mouth. All right, I have not read any of these comments, and they're getting wildly inappropriate. But Cortland, this investment management landlord company that has said, you don't deserve to have neighbors that you know unless you guys can all stay rich together while we're jacking up the rent. And they're saying all your housing needs, where you want to live, where you want to raise kids, where you want to go to school, does not matter to us. It's just about us making more money. And you should despise these people because that's what they're doing. And it's good to see the feds finally cracking down on it. I've been saying the price fixing, the rent is being price fixed. As somebody who's in the renter market, looking around, you can't find anything that's not insanely expensive. It's nuts. It is absolutely bananas. And I talk about that from firsthand experience. We're trying to rent right now and you just can't. And even when I show people, what houses are going for, remember, a 3-bedroom house that sold near me in 2018 for $300,000 is now 6 years ago. The house is not completely built up. It's not a 12-bedroom now. It's selling for almost $1 million. That's insane. People, things are not normal. And it's the wealthy who are just turning everything we do into an investment and profit opportunity. And if we don't put a stop to this, if we're not aware of this, that's why I put the link in the description. So please click that link, read it. If you are in Arizona, there are maps showing what properties were price fixed. America, remember, America is the illusion of the free market. Really what it is we have like 5 or 10, maybe 5 or 10 really ultra wealthy companies that own everything, that sell it back to you under different brand names. They sell you stuff under Nabisco or Johnson & Johnson, and what you don't realize is they're all owned by Mondelez or, some parent corporation. So remember that, folks. When people start spitting at you, oh, but the free market, there is no free market. It's fixed. This shit is fixed, kids. And if you're not paying attention, or you think because you bought Oreos and, whatever the knockoff brand of Oreos is, that you have choice, the illusion of choice, then you're a fucking numbskull. Because that is not choice. That is the illusion. You are being deceived. And this is the proof. The story I put in the description is the proof that these 10 companies bought all the properties, and together, and even if you say, oh, well, there's 10 companies, do you hear what they did? They worked in tandem to raise the rents together because they knew they would all profit at our suffering. People going homeless, people not affording rent. They knew that they could raise the rate. No one could fight back legally until the Fed swooped in, and the Fed said, oh, wait, you all worked in tandem together? You did this thing that we've labeled as price fixing, which is illegal, because basically what it does is it eliminates the free market. Before this software and before 10 companies could buy all of the houses in America, you would just have people who had owned homes, or smaller companies that owned one apartment thing, and they would have to figure out what the price was worth, how much, based on the location, the amenities, all these different factors. And what they would do is have to compete with the people around the corner who were trying to build better apartments, better amenities, in a better location, and they could charge a little more. What this has done has said, fuck all that. We don't care if you even have a fridge in there. We own all of it. So all these houses could be fridgeless, and they could literally do this. They could change the game. And this is why it's so dangerous, because if they own every house and they just decided to stop putting refrigerators in the homes, and they just said, that's how it comes, bring your own, assholes, and they price fixed everything, and because they owned everything, that would just be the new way it goes. And that's why it's illegal, because if they own everything, whether it's 10 companies or one company, and they're all doing it in tandem, they're all doing it together, then there is no free market. There is no choice. These companies, for profit, have just price set. They've fixed the game. Price fixing. That's why it is. So, oh my God, I can't even read any of these comments. You guys are nuts. So anyways, please check out the link in the description on this story. I am so excited to hopefully see some landlords go to prison. Send them all. And listen, I'm not a person who wants people to go to prison. I think there are better ways to rehab people, to improve people, to reintroduce them to society, to include them in society. But I'm talking about people who are committing crimes out of poverty's sake, or, maybe need some mental help. Those people I have more compassion for. The investment companies, anyone that's doing a white collar crime, these investment companies that are, robbing people's pensions or turning their housing, the communities, into a for-profit thing that's displacing old people and kids to make them homeless for some rich dude's profit. Those are the people that I have zero sympathy for, and I say send them to prison, bury them under the prison. I do not care. Let them go into the toughest of the toughest prisons. Let them have at it. That's the scum of society. The people with the power that abuse that power and do it for their own gain when they know they're displacing single moms and kids, those are the people that I never have an issue. Say, send them all to prison. Send them all to prison and let them rot there. I'd be happy to have my tax dollars pay for their prison stay. All right, I have to, oh my God, I keep looking at those comments. Cool. You're wilding out. All right, I gotta go, but thank you so much for joining. Please hit subscribe. I cannot crack 1,300 subscribers without you. So it mean the world to me if you hit subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I do go live every weekday. And where else are you going to get this kind of commentary? Come on, Philly D isn't going to tell you he wants to bury these landlords under a prison. Let's be real. I'm going to give you a very clear-cut definition of what needs to fucking happen in society so we can get back to having communities and not being exploited every single waking moment for some rich guy's fucking second yacht party. So Philly D ain't going to say that. He just ain't. I will. So that's why I want you to subscribe to this news commentary channel where I do lives every single weekday. And listen, we also have fun here too, and we learn a lot from people joining from around the world. I'm very, very proud. That's one thing I'll say is this channel has such a diverse subscriber base that I'm super excited about that, and I love getting people's thoughts on things coming in from around the world and what their thoughts on things here in America are. So thank you so much for joining.